Just as I was going to go with him, my father told these vicious soldiers that they were his drawings and writing. I screamed, "No, they are mine." But my father told them not to listen to me. They laughed again as tears started to shed away from my eyes. My father looked at me and told me, "Make me proud, Sham, and make this country proud. Take care of your mother and sister." They took my father and hung him. Birds started to fly angrily. I was the one who was supposed to go with this, but instead my father went away with him. They took my soul away with my father. I cried and tried to follow them, but my mother held me back. She told me that she just lost my father and she couldn't lose me. She started to cry. I wiped her tears as I kissed her hands. I looked around. The country was dying. Syria was dying, or perhaps Sham was dying. Once upon a time there was Syria. She was pretty, but sadness was killing her. She was not free. She was controlled by a vicious dictator. People could not take it anymore. Many of them became rebels. They carried real weapons against him and started to fight for their own freedom. They wanted Syria free. They wanted their country's freedom. People started protesting all over the country. Freedom, they called. The dictator started his regime against them. He killed many innocent souls, that they were one hand and one fighting soul. In order to free Syria, people had to irrigate Syria with their blood. They had to fight with their souls. It was a cold war between good and evil. It was a war, and the victim was humanity. Standing against the wind, I saw a 17-year-old young man. He was 4 years younger than me, and he was much older in my eyes. He was holding a microphone. People gathered around him. He started singing the word freedom. People repeated after him. The angels in heaven sang along with him. Suddenly, we heard a shooting. The government shot on us, and people ran. I didn't run, and neither did he. They shot him. I tried to help him, but he immediately died. He flew away to heaven. Angels opened their hands for the new member. I covered him with the Syrian Revolution flag. As I closed his eyes, I stood proudly. The angry wind was moving my long brown hair. I started to cry. The government started to shoot again. I ran, leaving my tears behind. I ran like a child that day. I was too scared. I studied medicine at college. I could remember 4 years ago, I did not like my major. I wanted to become an artist, but my mother encouraged me to study that major. I did not know that at some point in my life I will be healing the Syrian pain. I went to college where I waited for my friend Harmony. It was her birthday. I knew this girl since elementary. She was my best friend, but more like a sister to me. She was very dear to my heart. I waited and waited. Hours passed. I was so worried. Clouds gathered in the sky. They wore a black dress. The sun disappeared. I rushed home. My mother was waiting for me in the door. She was holding a pink notebook. It was splashed with blood. She hugged me and said, "Harmony went with the angels." It started to rain. My best friend Harmony died. She protested the dictator's regime. They killed her. I ran under the rain. I was crying as I held Harmony's pink memory notebook close to my heart. That night, I killed the fear inside my heart. I decided to fight with my own talent. While my mother and Hans were sleeping, I went out of the house. I was carrying my weapon, a paint spray with different colors. It was dark. We were out of electricity for more than 2 months. Dead bodies were all over the area. I covered my face with the Syrian Revolution flag so no one would recognize me. I started on the first wall. Freedom, I wrote. My heart and my soul were the one who were writing. My eyes broke into tears as I remember my father and my best friend Harmony. My paint mixed with my own tears. I painted the flag of our freedom. I painted the new flag of our country. I painted the Syrian dream. I painted our freedom. Green, white, black, and 3 red stars made their way across the wall. The moon was smiling as I drew. Every time I put the paintbrush on the wall, the stars shined more and more until the sky lightened my paint and my heart. I painted reality as I saw it on my own eyes. The sun splashed its sunshine into the walls, giving the artwork a golden color. It was the color of pride that I felt deep on my heart. I saw the souls of people who died dancing through the paintings. Every paint carried a pain. Every painting told a story. That morning, everyone was talking about the hero who painted on the walls of Syria. Even though the dictator and his government started to look for the hero, I did not stop painting the freedom. I was stronger than ever. The memories of my father and Harmony strengthened my heart. The love of our country was planted in our blood, and it grew as we grew. I started to open my little sister's eyes to what was happening in the Syrian street. I told her that the world is not a fairy tale as she thought. I told her that sometimes evil is stronger than good. I told her that the dear thing to us is our country and nothing but our country. She smiled. She asked me if our father went to heaven. I answered, yes, and he's very happy there. And if you miss him, pray for him. He will be happier. I said that to Harmony as she cried. I was going to college. A group of children were standing or lying for bread. I was happy that they finally got to eat some fresh bread instead of the rotten ones. The dream did not last for long. The government of the dictator bombed the bakery. I ran to them. I was shocked. The bread was covered with blood. A 5-year-old girl opened her blue eyes to the sky. She was carrying a doll in her small hands. She had the face of the angels. Her golden hair was naked from the sun. I started to give her some bread, hoping she might live. She did not. Parents gathered around these innocent dead children. They cried and screamed. I put the doll between the girl's arms. Together, we started to spread white roses and tears into their innocent bodies. We lit the candles. I brought my sister with me. She carried a poster that said, "Stop killing the Syrian children." My poster said, "Your time is up, dictator." It was a silent night. Only our words spoke. At a dark daytime, I saw people running. They had their suitcases in their hands. They were running away from Syria. I tried to stop them, but there was no use. They made their choice. I told them, I am sure there will be a spring after this long winter. Snow started to fall. I saw smoke coming from our area. The dictator and his government started to bomb my neighborhood. I ran to our house. I did not find it. Instead, I found the huge rocks and blood covering these rocks. My sister, Hans, and my mother died that day. I could not take it anymore. I screamed for hours and hours. They were buried with the rest of the people who did not run away. I started painting. I did not cover my face with the Syrian Revolution flag this time. Fear ran away from my heart. This time, there was no moon in the sky. It was just me and my heart that was filled with love and life. It was really cold. I was trying to fight the coldness of the winter. I was stronger than ever. Suddenly, a thunderbolt hit me. I became weak. I screamed. Snow started to fall more and more. The snow was mixed with my blood. I looked at the dark sky. My flag was splashed with blood. The painting on the walls started to speak. The colors fell from my hands and started to color the falling snow. He was there, in front of me. He was the dictator. He was the leader of Syria. His hand was covered with the people's blood. The fans in the room was spinning in circles above my head. The room was covered with the cigar smoke. The little girl was still painting on the walls of the room. I told her, "Do not stop painting the Syrian dream. Freedom will come soon." I looked at her face. She was me when I was young, painting the hope in this darkness. He approached me and held my hands. He quenched the cigar on my hands. They started bleeding. He burned them. So I could not paint anymore. Syria was bleeding. He cut my wings, but they will grow back. My hands were shaking. He shouted, "Now write with your blood." I saw Homs, my mother, Harmony, and my father. They flew away. I wanted to go up with them, but Homs told me, "Syria needs you," and gave me the Syrian Revolution flag. I smiled as I dipped my finger into my blood and wrote the word "criminal," as I cried painfully. This time, I did not paint with paint. I painted with my own blood. He pushed me to the walls of the prison, and then he poured salt and water to my burnt hands. I screamed for help, but no one seems to hear me. My body was almost dead, but my soul had so much power. I was kept in the prison of this monastery's castles. I looked through the windows, just as a singing bird looked through the golden bars, hoping for his freedom. Land started to grow. It is revolution, and we will win it. The sunshine broke through the prison. The Syrian spring is coming. Freedom is approaching. I saw them. People killed the fear inside their hearts. They became rebels. I looked at them as they approached day by day near the dictator castle. They were angry. They had no paintbrushes. They had real weapons. I think the darkness time is over. It is time for the sun to hit our beloved country, Syria. Thank you. I'm so glad.